Hey guys, welcome back. In today's video, going to be doing another discussion and analysis of a couple of polls that have come out within the past few days that are focused on that 2020 Democratic presidential primary. Going to start off with Monmouth. It's the first new numbers that we've gotten from them with these particular questions since back in January. So some interesting updates there. And then going to move on to the weekly morning consult poll. Not much in the way of change over with that one. But starting off here with Monmouth. And you can see the March numbers compared to the January numbers. And the only major difference here comes with Bernie Sanders. He came out and announced he's gone around and campaigned, and that's had a huge positive impact on his numbers overall. So Biden's still in first at 28 percentage points. Bernie within the margin of error at 25 percentage points. You can see the difference between these numbers and where they were in January, where Biden was at 29 compared to Sanders, who was just at 16. So a 9-point gain for Bernie overall. And then you take a look at the rest of the field, not much of a difference there with Kamala Harris, Elizabeth Warren, Beto O'Rourke, Cory Booker, and Klobuchar at 10, 8, 6, 5, and 3 percentage points respectively. All the other candidates at 2 percentage points or less. Michael Bloomberg has come out and announced that he's not going to be running, so he won't be in this questionnaire next time around. Bernie, again, the big gainer here, the fact that he's come out and announced has had a huge positive impact on his numbers overall. It'll be interesting to see what kind of impact Biden's numbers has if he comes out and decides that he is going to be running, if he's able to maintain the kind of leads that we've seen from him that are relatively around the margin of error, or if he can gain from that and try to take some support from these other candidates. We'll see how that all plays out. But then moving down, I'm really glad they asked this second question, particularly of the Joe Biden supporters. If he didn't run, who would their next choice be? So when you take Biden out of the equation, it becomes very clear that Sanders is the front runner all by himself, over doubling the support of the second place candidate. So Sanders in first at 32 percentage points, 17 points up on Kamala Harris, who would then have 15 percentage points of support. Warren at 10, O'Rourke at 7, Booker at 6, Klobuchar at 3, and then everyone else at 2 percentage points or less. So now going down and taking a look at favorability, actually a little bit of change here for the top two candidates, which I want to focus on in this one, and then just kind of do a general sense of the rest of the candidates. So starting off here with Joe Biden, down slightly from where he was back in January. So he's now at 76 favorable compared to where he was at 80. 13% unfavorable compared to the 9 unfavorable that he had in the prior poll. And then we take a look at Bernie. His numbers have actually gotten a little bit better in this sense, with favorability at 70 points, but still a little bit worse overall than Biden. But again, within the realm of being competitive with those Biden numbers, up for Bernie Sanders in particular from 68 points prior, and then his unfavorability is at 17 compared to 19 where it was. And then all of the other candidates, you can see quite a difference between them in the top two in terms of people who either don't have an opinion or have never heard of these other candidates. So they have a lot of work to do to get their name out there, present their platform so that more voters can form an opinion about them. But what makes that so difficult for these candidates is when you have so many people running, it's just tough to get the type of space needed within the media exposure to go out and improve on those numbers. And then another interesting question here that is worth noting, they asked the people in this poll back in 2016, who did you support for the Democratic nomination, Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders? And you can see Clinton at 61 compared to Bernie at 34. This means that in this particular poll, there's a much larger sample of your more centrist establishment type Democrats. So when you take that in mind, the fact that Bernie is only within 3 percentage points of Biden, I think, is a really positive sign for him, because back in that 2016 primary, Bernie had much higher than 34% of the support and vote. So his voters getting a little bit underscored in this Monmouth poll, which I think is a great sign for him overall in terms of where he could be if it was a better representation of the voting base that was back in 2016 compared to what we're getting here in 2020. So that's all I wanted to touch on with the Monmouth poll. Moving on to the morning consult, and not big changes from where we covered this last week. Biden and Sanders still 1 and 2 at 31 percentage points and 27 percentage points respectively. No change from last week. And then Kamala Harris at 10 percentage points, Warren and O'Rourke at 7, Booker at 4, Klobuchar at 3, and then all the other candidates are at 1 percentage point or less. We take a look at the early states of Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, and Nevada. And again, not big changes here. Biden down 1 point to 33. Kamala Harris up 1 point to 9. Elizabeth Warren up 1 point to 7, but all within the margin of error. So you're going to see these small fluctuations every now and then. The fact that we haven't really had much in the way of big announcements or game-changing situations, no debates or anything like that. Not a huge surprise to see the numbers stay relatively even from where they were a week prior. So that's going to wrap up this video, guys. Thanks for stopping on in. Consider subscribing for more of this type of content in the future, and I hope to see you back here for my next video.